How do we know that God exists? How do we know if God exists? What are the indications that God is real? What is the evidence? Are there signs? The truth is that no one can know for sure. The existence of God cannot be proven absolutely, in the same way that no one can prove absolutely that God does not exist. But if you could know somehow, know for sure, would you want to? Some people believe in God and some people do not. Some look at the beauty and goodness in the world and see a benevolent force behind it all. Some people look at the evil and suffering and conclude there is no higher power, no deeper meaning. Some people have a personal experience that shows them the existence of God. Maybe they were spared from some harm or felt the hand of God guiding them. Some people suffer cruelly and do not believe in God. Scientists do not agree. Some look to the natural world and see chaos and chemistry and random chance and no sign of God. Other scientists marvel at how the vast universe is unified by a single framework, with all diverse matter made up of the same primary structure of proton, neutron, and electron. They see unity. They see a creator. Some people are absolutely certain in the existence of God. And on the other side, some are absolutely certain there is no God. I imagine most of us, though, are somewhere in between those two extremes. We believe in God, but we cannot say it with absolute certainty. Or we're agnostic and think that the idea of God was made up by humans, but we're open to the possibility that God may exist. What about you? Are you certain in your belief? What would it take for you to believe in God with certainty? The ancient Israelites knew for sure. They had clear signs of God's presence in their midst. When they camped in the wilderness, God was manifest right before their eyes in a pillar of cloud by day, and at night, a pillar of fire. There was no mistaking it, and everyone could see it. When the pillar of cloud came to rest, the Israelites would set up camp and stay. When it moved forward, the Israelites picked up their camp and followed it. They knew that God existed, and what's more, they knew which direction to go. I envy them. Wouldn't it be amazing to behold the presence of God? Wouldn't it be nice to know which direction to go? If we knew just what God wanted from us, it'd be nice to have more certainty. Even Moses wanted more. No one in history has ever been closer to God than Moses. Moses saw the burning bush. Moses saw the Red Sea part. Moses spoke with God as a friend talks to another friend. Yet even Moses wanted more. He wanted to see God. Standing at the top of Mount Sinai, he asked, "Let me behold your presence." I want to see God too, even just a sign. I want to know that we're not alone in the world. I want to know that the great cosmos is not some cold vacuum. I want to know there's meaning in this world, in my life, that I'm here for a purpose, and that there's reasons for all of my strivings and efforts. Don't you want a sign? We don't have a pillar of cloud in our day. But what if we had something like it? What if there were evidence, tangible evidence that God is real? What if I could show you right now evidence that God is real? Do you want to see it? Wait right here. What if I told you that inside this box was absolute proof of the existence of God? You could just take the lid off, look inside the box, and know for sure. Would you? Would you look inside? Let's wait a minute before we rush to peek in. Let's think about the implications of what would happen if we saw proof of God's existence. How would your life change? Would seeing this make you act differently? Would you come to temple more? Would you act better? And would it change you in your views of everything? Does it mean that all the stories in the Bible are true? Does it mean that you need to follow now all of the commandments of the Torah? Does it mean that there is life after death? What does it mean? Let's wait a moment before we look inside. What might we lose if we knew for sure? I think God would be smaller. Groucho Marx once said famously, "I wouldn't want to join a club that accepted me as a member." I think the same logic applies here. If I can know God, how great can God be? part of what makes God so special is that God is unknowable. God is manifest beyond our ability to understand. If we could somehow understand God, God would be diminished. And there's danger. There is danger in knowing something with such certainty. We risk becoming fanatics. Years ago, Rabbi Emanu-El Glickman suggested that it was God's very intention to keep us from knowing for sure that God existed. He said, certainty with regard to anything is poison for the soul. It leads to fanaticism. What if we look inside the box and become zealots? How would we act then? If you saw this truth, wouldn't you want to tell your friends? Wouldn't you feel the need to share it? What if you saw inside this box and your spouse did not? Or worse, what if your spouse saw inside the box and you did not? This reminds me of an amusing anecdote from my college days. My Hillel rabbi was an older man and a bit crotchety. We shared our building with a number of different religious groups, which was nice. But there was one group that got under his skin. It was a fundamentalist group of students that met right next door to us. The kids in this group had this serene calm about them. They walked around with a constant little smile. They were true believers. That irked my rabbi. One time when they were walking down the hall past us, my rabbi turned to me and said, "How can they be so sure of themselves? They're too young to know." I think what lies beneath his comment that day is the very nature of Jewish faith. Our name is Israel. In Hebrew, that means one who wrestles with God. That's our destiny, to wrestle with God. Our name is not one who is comfortable with God or one who has got God all figured out. We question everything. We wrestle with our doubts. We wrestle with God. It's the way we like it. If we open that box, the wrestle is over. If we open the box, it's the end of faith. The ancient Israelites had all the proof. They did not believe in God. They could see with their own eyes that God was in front of them. They had no faith. They had evidence. And what happened to the ancient Israelites? What was their biggest problem? According to the Torah, their biggest problem was that they had no lasting faith. They witnessed God parting the waters of the Red Sea. But when they got to the other side, within days, they were complaining that there wasn't enough water to drink. 2 months later, they're standing at the base of a mountain that's trembling by the blast of shofars. It's on fire. The expanse of the heavens has come down to envelop the mountain. They're too frightened to go up, so they ask Moses to go up on their behalf. And Moses is up on the mountain for only 40 days, but that was long enough for them to lose faith and build the golden calf and worship an idol. They lacked faith. We can have faith, even with all our doubts. We have faith precisely because we have no proof of God's existence. We have to take it on faith. And faith is good. There is dignity in faith. I mentioned earlier that I envied the Israelites for seeing the pillar of cloud. And that's true. I yearn to see such a miracle, but it's not the whole story. I'm also glad that I haven't seen such a miracle, especially the cloud. If there is a cloud guiding your every step, everything is laid out in front of you. There is no respect for your intellect or your heart. You're like a child that can't be trusted. I am grateful that we do not have absolute proof of God's existence. I like the wrestle. I like the possibility. I like the search. Because we don't have proof in God, we can have faith. When Moses stood on Mount Sinai, he asked God, "Let me behold your presence." God would not let him. God told him, "No one may see my face and live." But that was not the whole story. God offered something else instead. God said, "You cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you." I will make all my goodness pass before you. What is God's goodness that we're allowed to see? Is it the natural world? Is it mercy and love? Is it the sustenance and life that God provides? I will make all my goodness pass before you. That is what God offers us today. We cannot see God, but we get to see God's goodness. That's good enough. Friends, it's all we need.